Quarter. All right. So welcome to this is, I believe, the third session of the morning. I'm losing track at this point. I have 5 of these to get done today. But this session, we are going to be talking about really finding rest and restoration from, kind of sometimes the exhaustion from being in spaces where you're constantly having to overcome stereotypes, biases, microaggressions, all the things that seem to be pretty prevalent in our world today. So we're going to talk about some ways to obviously, it would be great if we could just twirl our little wands and make everybody, be kind to humans every day. I hadn't figured that one out yet, but we definitely can create some ways to really deal with making sure we're handling stress and all of those things in a good way. So a little bit about me. My name is Myra Shaw. I'm also known as Maven Myra. A maven is simply someone that shares her knowledge with others. And that's exactly what I get to do with you today. That's what I get to do as a business strategist, facilitator, speaker, podcaster, all of the things. But my most exciting title I have given myself is that I'm a sassy hope cultivator. That means I get to inspire, encourage, and gently push people along their path to doing the thing that they were created to do. I'm often saying to women that everyone is not waiting for Maven Myra. Someone is waiting for you. And I find absolute joy in helping people stay encouraged or inspired to keep doing what I call their BAM thing. BAM is bust a move, bust a move. So that brings me joy. I want to share before we get started that my sessions are being recorded. If you would like to receive the replay, if you drop your email in the chat, then we will get those sent out to you. Let me make sure I am clicking save the chat. So again, if you want the replays, and I have 5 sessions that I'm doing today, I'm going to be sending out all 5. So you can watch the one you want, not the others, or watch all 5. But that's how you'll be receiving those. Luminary is not recording these individual sessions. So I'm going to be the one that'll be sending those out. Next, my last ask from you is to stay connected with me. You can scan this QR code. It'll give you all the different ways that you can stay connected. If you want to request me as a speaker for your company, corporation, whatever, schedule a free chat with me, find my podcast, all of those things, this QR code will get you access to that. I will also show this QR code again at the end of the presentation. So no worries if you don't have an opportunity to scan it right now. Now, before we jump into the content, because I know you are moving around digitally in and out of spaces and rooms, I want us to start with just a couple of deep breaths. I know as women and any men that are joining us that we are always doing a lot of things, right? You're digitally in this room, virtually in this room with me, but you're also thinking about, what do you need to finish when you get back to work, or what are you having for dinner? And did you move the laundry from the wash to the dryer? All of those things that we are worried about, right? So these 3 deep breaths are going to help you mentally come fully into the space so that you can get what you need from this today. So if you would like, you can close your eyes. When I ask you to take a deep breath, your belly should be filling up like a balloon, like you're filling a balloon with air. When I say exhale or release, you're letting the air out of that balloon. All right, so let's take our first deep breath. Deep breath in, hold it, and out. All right, let's go a little deeper into that breath this time. Deep breath in and out. All right, here's our final one. Make this your best one. You're gonna take a really deep breath. I'm gonna get you to hold it for an extra second or so, and then release. Deep breath in, hold it, and out. All right, you can slowly open your eyes. And again, that's a quick technique I always use when I'm doing virtual presentations, because again, Just because you're sitting in front of your screen virtually doesn't mean that you don't have tons of other things going on in your mind. And that's just a way to get your mind and your body to all come together and focus on the thing in front of you. So let's talk about finding restoration from navigating stereotypes, biases, microaggressions, all of the things that we normally have to deal with in our current environment, whether that's in your corporate space, in the just world at large, on social platforms. How do we don't have the ability, as I was saying earlier, to wave our magic wand and simply get everyone in the world, to treat humans like humans. We could do that. That would be great. But since we can't do that, how do we take care of ourselves in these types of environments? So that's what this session is going to be about. So let's jump into our very first tip. Number one, rest. Notice I put in the hot pink. It cannot be optional. I know probably most of the ladies, and if there are any gentlemen joining us, are high performers, high achievers. And we have a false sense, I'm right there with you, that we can keep going, burn our candles at both ends, run our batteries to zero, and that we can catch up on sleep and we can do all of these things. It's not the truth. Listen, I'm just here to help you for Women's History Month to let you know it's not the truth. We have to be intentional about our rest. So just as you might schedule a meeting, you're going to have to be that intentional to schedule your rest. If you are a person that struggles with allowing yourself to take rest, I'm going to insert this part, guilt-free. Yes, I'm going to move closer to the camera. I'm talking to you. Rest, guilt-free, right? Even if you rest, yet you're beating yourself up the whole time that you're resting, you're taking something away from that period, right? So rest, guilt-free, and that is not optional. Here is something that I do with things that I'm very intentional about. They are literally on my calendar like a meeting. All of my workout sessions, all of my personal training sessions, my cardio sessions, I actually book them on my calendar. So that way I know they're coming up, and it prevents anyone from booking over that time on my calendar. A client can't book in that time. No one can schedule a free chat with me during that time, because that time is so important to me that I've blocked it out so that I'm intentional to keep that session. Okay. Same concept that I use around rest. How are you going to be intentional to make sure that you're including rest? I want you to drop in the chat for me if you can think of something right off the top of your head, or if it's something you're already doing. How are you including rest into your busy schedule? If you want to come off mute and share your answer, feel free to do that as well. But if you want to just drop it in the chat, I'll take that as well. Share with me one way that you are intentional about your rest, or maybe at this very moment, you're not intentional about your rest. How are you going to start being intentional about your rest? Again, you can drop it in the chat, or you can come off mute and share it verbally. Putting my phone away at night. I love that, Emily. Putting that phone away. Block off time for lunch. Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't eat your lunch in front of your computer working. No. Right? Take that time, even if it's 15 minutes. Don't eat and be digital. Simply eat. You deserve it. You deserve that time to simply fuel your body. Okay. I love that. Block off time for lunch. Put my phone away at night. Listen, I try to be so intentional about my digital start and end of day, because for me, it takes a while for me to unwind in the evening. And so I have to have a full routine on when I get off digital. I'm normally a bath person, when I'm going to take my bath. Like, it's a whole, I call it downshifting. I've been in fifth gear. I've got to downshift to fifth, then the third. And if I stay on that digital device, my brain doesn't understand that it's downshift time. It wants to keep thinking of things and reminding me of probably, the list of things that I didn't get done that day. The world is going to be fine if I didn't send all of the email replies I needed to send, if I didn't text back everyone that texted me today. The world is still going to keep rotating on its axis. But if I can be consistent with when I'm getting off digital devices, that only helps me to downshift in the evening, so that when I lay down to go to sleep, my brain has also had time to slow down, so that when I lay down, my brain is not like the little hamster on the wheel and going, oh, you didn't call this person back, you didn't eat, reminding me of my to-do list. I don't want that at the end of the day. We'll pick it up the next day. So I love those shares. Put the phone away at night and take time for lunch. I love the language of downshifting. Yes, it's a real thing for me. Like, I can't go from working to just go take a bath, get in the bed and go to sleep. I'd be up all night. I have to start the downshifting. And it really is a process of downshifting, slowing the brain down so that when I go to sleep, my brain doesn't keep me up half the night with running through the to-do list and all the things that I didn't do. All right. Number 2, restoration. Now, rest is one thing, and you can rest at lunch. You can rest for a nap. You can rest at the end of the day. But restoration is really, I call it soul, SOUL, soul work. That is really helping your mind, body, and spirit all collectively to slow down a bit so that you can be restored. And what does that look like for you? Oftentimes when I ask clients this question, they don't know. And here's the greatest way to start figuring what does restoration look like for you. And a great thing about restoration is it can prevent you from experiencing at all, or help you to experience less burnout. Burnout is absolutely a real thing. It's not just something that's in your head. It is real, okay? So restoration, meaning allowing your mind, body, and spirit to take a slowdown. If, let's say, you go on vacation, that you're not on your laptop on vacation. You're not checking emails on vacation, because maybe you're resting, but you're not getting full restoration, right? So what does restoration look like for you? Drop that in the chat or do a verbal share. What does that look like for you? Or what would you like that to look like for you? For me, it's totally my goal starting last year and this year is to take a mini vacation 3 times a year and a full vacation once a year. What does a mini vacation look like? That might be a staycation. That staycation might be in my city. That staycation might be in my house, right? But I intentionally take that time once a quarter to not work, to not check emails, to not be continuing to work on presentations and projects and following up with clients. None of that. I want my mind, body, and spirit to take a full downshift so that when I've done that, maybe for a weekend, when Monday rolls around, I'm excited to get back to work. I'm excited to get back to doing the things that I love. But just because I need restoration doesn't mean I don't love things, right? It doesn't mean I don't love my work. It's that I know to be my best self, I've got to refill my glass. The work I do with others, I cannot keep giving if there's nothing in me to give. So this restoration is something I've had to learn and be intentional to giving myself a weekend, a month to spend both days at home nesting. I absolutely love that, Emily. Nesting, to just be, to just be. And again, I cannot say enough. This was a difficult thing for me. I'm going to be fully transparent and say being able to slow down and rest and have restoration guilt-free was a thing for me. I am a tasker. I am an executor. I find joy in my work. So it really wasn't comprehending like, well, why do I need to slow down? Like, I love this work, but my mind, my spirit, my body absolutely needs time to be able to slow down and say, we're going to simply be for this weekend. Again, it's necessary. And if you haven't gotten there yet, I don't want you to ignore this part. Set a goal for yourself. How am I going to allow restoration for my mind, my body, and my spirit? I want you, maybe it's a trial and error. Maybe you try some things that didn't work. You do something else, but start somewhere. Start somewhere. Our third and final point, resilience. I wanted to share the definition of resilience, the capacity to withstand or to recover from difficulties. When I looked this definition up, the word quickly was in the definition, and I didn't like that. So I put a strike through. Resilience to me has nothing to do with doing it quickly, right? Maybe you're needing to have resilience of recovering from grief. If you've experienced a grief or a loss that has affected you greatly, there is no quick recovery from that, okay? Your resilience is going to take some time. So I wanted to be intentional to not just remove the word quickly, but show it to you on the screen and show you that I'm marking through it. Because quick does not have to be a part of the equation for your resilience. I do want you to have the capacity to withstand and recover from difficulties, but it doesn't have to be quickly. This doesn't mean that you accept inappropriate behavior, right? Your resilience is not tied to allowing someone else to mistreat you or allowing someone else to say, well, that happened 3 years ago. You should be over that by now. That's not your version of resilience. No one else can tell you how quickly something has to be, how quickly you have to recover, how quickly you have to withstand something difficult. That's you. That's up to you. That is how you are going to move through whatever healing process that you need. Even the loss of a job. When I was laid off in 2014, I literally went through a grieving process from a 27-year corporate career. That would make sense. Anything you've done for 27 years and you're not going to be doing it anymore, that is something you're going to have to grieve. Now, did it work out? It did work out. Was it where I needed to be in my journey? It was. The layoff was the step I needed to push me into the work that I do today. So looking back on it, all of it needed to happen how it happened, but that did not eliminate me going through grief of losing a 27-year career. Even though I was bored the last 3 years of my career, there still was a grieving process, right? I say that I went from pissed off to grief, then to absolute belief that the place that I was in was the place that I was supposed to be. But I still had to go through that process. I still had to build my resilience. I call them muscles. We don't build resilience muscles if we don't ever have to face something difficult, right? That resilience muscle never gets worked if we avoid all the difficulties or we kind of put our head in the sand. You build those muscles by actually going through the difficult thing, the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship, whatever that difficult thing is, your resilience is built by working that muscle. All right. Any thoughts, questions that you have for me? I am going to put up this slide again. This is where you can scan the QR code to ask me anything. We have about 5 minutes left. So you can ask me anything. It can be about this resilience and how do you find time to rest, restore. It can be anything about leadership, entrepreneurship. Again, I'm leaving the floor open for you to ask me anything. You can come off of mute or drop it in the chat for anything that you would like to ask, or if you just have a comment that you want to share. Also, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I was sharing with the last session that that is a great place to start building relationships and connections with folks that you never know. You might need that future connection for something, and you've already kind of started building that relationship. So any questions, thoughts, or shares that you have? Anyone?
Hi, Myra. I just want to comment. I really appreciate you opening up the space and, highlighting these three things. I feel like I put it in the chat, but our society is very go, go, go. I'm very go, go, go.
Yes.
Even thinking about like when you lose a family member or someone close to you and you only get a week or less for bereavement. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things that I sometimes feel guilty about in terms of like, should I take that time to recover or grieve or recuperate when, my job or society is telling me like I should keep going? So I feel like this has been really helpful just to like take that breath and take that pause and be able to like rethink about where my values lie and that I can't succeed if I burn out. So just want to say thank you and add my comment.
Excellent. Love it, Kyla. I really appreciate that. And like I said, this was a challenge for me to get this incorporated in my life. In my corporate career, I was an energy trader. You talk about nonstop and go, 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 right? That was my whole day. And so having to come to a place to realize if I think about nothing else, I cannot present my best self if I'm exhausted, if I'm in burnout, if I am functioning on 4 hours of sleep consistently. It just does not allow for me to show up as the best person that I want to be. And so taking that time to rest, to get some restoration, to simply be, again, it was a challenge for me. And I literally started the process by having quiet time every morning. I could only start with 60 seconds. That's where I started. To be able to sit still, be quiet for 60 seconds before I got to start my day in the morning, I felt like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to burst at the seams. I'm ready to go. But 60 seconds turned into 5 minutes. 5 minutes turned into 15. And so I built from there. So I want to encourage you that if you have not built rest and restoration into your lifestyle, to simply start with something small. Start with something small. Yes, honor your grieving process and set boundaries with those that are unable to manage. Yeah, that was, again, your resilience does not require you to accept inappropriate behavior. And anyone demanding that you speed up whatever your process is, I'm going to say is inappropriate behavior. So yes, give yourself time, honor you by simply being. My last thought I want to leave with you is I love to end my sessions reminding you that you are CPR. That's a Maven quote that I've created. You are capable, prepared, and ready for your very next step. If you're at step 20, you're prepared for step 21. You're not prepared for step 30 yet. So don't fret about it. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. You're prepared, CPR, capable, prepared, and ready for your very next step. Enjoy the rest of your day. I look forward to staying connected with you. Happy Women's History Month. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye. You're welcome.